But look at this, Tina Clayton's got out very, very quick indeed. Dosso's been completely left. It's going to be Clayton moving away from everybody else. This is going to be an easy win. Is it going to be quick? 10.85. Another excellent performance.
Twice in 24 hours, a world record fell. Not by accident, not by luck, but by the same 4 Jamaican athletes lining up, running the same race, and tearing up the history books while everyone watched. At the center of it stood a 21-year-old who, less than 2 years earlier, hadn't even made her own country's Olympic team. Her name is Tina Clayton, and this is the story of how a girl from one of Jamaica's poorest, most rural parishes became the athlete that the greatest female sprinter the island has ever produced pointed to and said, "This is the future." To understand how stunning this turn of events truly is, you have to go back to where it all began, in Westmoreland, one of the most rural parishes in Jamaica. On the 17th of August, 2004, Tina Clayton was born 5 minutes before her identical twin sister, Tia. Their mother had been a sprinting prodigy in her own youth, though her career never made it to the international stage. Whatever speed lived in that bloodline, it clearly hadn't finished expressing itself. It was waiting, patiently, for the next generation. That next generation almost went unnoticed, the way so many talents in rural Jamaica do, were it not for a coach named Michael Dyke. He spotted the twins before they had even turned 9 years old, watching them compete at the JTA Sagicor National Primary Schools Championships. He didn't wait around to see what would happen. He went straight to their mother. There was no agent, no scouting network, no family connections greasing the wheels. Just a coach who recognized something rare in 2 little girls running at a primary school meet, and a mother willing to listen. A few years later, the family made the roughly 145-kilometer journey from Westmoreland to Frankfield in the parish of Clarendon, so the twins could train under Dyke at Edwin Allen High School, a program he had already built into an 8-time Jamaican high school champion. This wasn't a story about privilege opening doors. This was about poverty, distance, and sacrifice, and a family willing to uproot their entire lives because one man saw something worth chasing. The early signs that Dyke had been right came fast. On the 26th of February, 2019, Tia set a world under-15 best in the 100 meters of 11.37 seconds. That record didn't even last a month. Tina, the firstborn by 5 minutes, answered with a time of 11.27 seconds, beating her own twin sister in their first official head-to-head race at Champs, Jamaica's brutally competitive high school championships. Tina would later call that race her most memorable win to date, which says something given everything that came after. The sibling rivalry between the 2 girls only intensified from there, pushing them both forward in a way that few training partnerships ever could, because this wasn't just competition, this was family. At the 2021 Champs, that rivalry produced one of the most quietly emotional moments of Tina's young career. Tia false started in the 100-meter final, costing the twins a shot at finishing first and second together on the same afternoon. Tina, by her own admission devastated for her sister, composed herself and won the title anyway, crossing the line in 11.38 seconds. She later said she had been very disappointed at the start, but knew she had to do it for her sister. That single sentence tells you almost everything about who Tina Clayton is as a competitor. Even in the middle of her own triumph, her mind was on the person running beside her. Weeks after that, at the 2021 World Under-20 Championships in Nairobi, held on the very day the twins turned 17, Tina won gold in the 100 meters and ran a leg on the Jamaican relay team that set a world under-20 record of 42.94 seconds. A year later, at the 2022 World Under-20 Championships in Cali, Colombia, she defended her individual title with a championship record of 10.95 seconds, and the relay team broke its own world under-20 record again, lowering it to 42.59. 2 World Under-20 titles, multiple age group, world records. All of it achieved before she had even finished high school. It is worth pausing on how unusual that relay achievement actually is. World Under-20 records, particularly in a relay, where for separate baton exchanges all have to go perfectly, almost never fall in consecutive years with the same core group of athletes. Tina ran the same demanding leg, the back straight, the second handoff, on both record-breaking teams, while her sister Tia anchored both races. The two of them were, quite literally, rewriting the record books together before either had a driver's license back home in Jamaica. It looked, at that point, like nothing could slow either twin down. Then came the dip that every young phenom eventually faces, the moment when junior dominance collides with the unforgiving reality of senior competition. Tina missed selection for the 2023 World Championships in Budapest entirely. The junior star who had once looked unstoppable suddenly looked like just another talented teenager struggling against grown professionals who had been racing at the senior level for years. It is a transition that has ended countless promising careers. The gap between being the best in your age group and being competitive against women who have spent a decade refining their craft. Then came 2024, an Olympic year, the goal every Jamaican sprinter builds their entire career around. Tina was aiming for Paris. At the national trials, hampered by injury, she finished outside the qualifying positions in her semifinal and did not make the final. Her own twin sister did make the team. Tia went on to reach the Olympic final in Paris, finishing 7th, and became one of the breakout stories of the Jamaican team that summer. While Tina watched from home, think for a moment about what that actually feels like. Growing up matching your sister win for win, beating her, losing to her, building an entire career side by side, training the same hours, chasing the same dream, and then watching her walk into the Olympic Games without you. 2 World Under-20 titles, multiple age group world records, and still, at the one moment that mattered more than any other in a 4-year cycle, Tina Clayton wasn't good enough to make the team. There is a particular kind of weight to watching someone who shares your exact birthday, your exact training history, and even your face, succeed at the thing you just failed to do. That missed Olympic cycle came at a cost beyond one disappointing season. Tina had already given up her final year of high school, already left her hometown, already committed to professional training under intense pressure at MVP Track and Field Club, one of Jamaica's premier professional programs. The payoff she had been chasing had gone to her twin instead. It would have been easy, understandable even, to point to the injury, to blame the timing, to quietly resent the spotlight shifting entirely to her sister for an entire Olympic cycle. Instead, Tina turned toward a figure she had long admired for handling exactly this kind of setback, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. Tina has spoken openly about looking up to Fraser-Pryce specifically because of how the legend handled disappointment throughout her own career, saying that Fraser-Pryce always shows that it is not about winning at all costs, but about getting back up after setbacks and redeeming yourself. That philosophy was about to be tested in the most direct way imaginable. Rather than fold under the comparison to her sister, Tina spent the following year rebuilding her race from the ground up, determined to prove that the missed Olympics had been a delay, not a ceiling on what she could become. In 2025, the rebuild paid off. Tina Clayton won her first senior national title, crossing the line at the Jamaican Championships in 10.81 seconds, a personal best at the time, finishing ahead of Shericka Jackson and, remarkably, ahead of her own childhood idol, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, in what would turn out to be Fraser-Pryce's final domestic 100-meter race on Jamaican soil. That result sent Tina to the World Championships in Tokyo, into a field that was loaded with talent, including American star Melissa Jefferson Wooden. In the final, Tina ran a new personal best of 10.76 seconds to win the silver medal, finishing behind only Jefferson Wooden's championship record of 10.61. She beat Shericka Jackson, she beat Sha'Carri Richardson, and she finished ahead of Fraser-Pryce, who closed out her extraordinary 18-year career in 6th place, running 11.03 seconds in the very last individual race she would ever compete in. Later that same night, in the 4x100 relay final, Fraser-Pryce ran the opening leg one final time, handing off to Tia Clayton, who handed off to Tina, who handed off to anchor Joniel Smith. 3 generations of Jamaican sprinting connected by a single baton in what was Fraser-Pryce's literal final competitive act on a track. Jamaica won silver. Fraser-Pryce's storied career ended with her, in a very real sense, handing the future of the sport directly to the Clayton twins. It is worth remembering what Fraser-Pryce said after that final individual race in Tokyo. In her own words, she expressed confidence that she had passed the baton to a new generation of Jamaican sprinters, and she named the person she meant directly, 21-year-old Tina Clayton. At the time, it read as a gracious, sentimental moment from a retiring legend. Few could have known just how literally those words would come true within the year. Fast forward to May 2026, in Gaborone, Botswana, at the World Athletics Relays. Tina Clayton lined up in the mixed 4x100-meter relay alongside Akeem Blake, Kadrian Goldson, and her own twin sister, Tia. In the heats on May 2nd, the Jamaican quartet crossed the line in 39.99 seconds, breaking the world record outright. Jamaica had just become the first team in history to run a mixed 4x100 relay under 40 seconds, in front of a field that included some of the fastest national programs on the planet, none of whom had ever seen that barrier broken before either. Then, the very next day, in the final, they did it again. The same 4 athletes lined up, ran the same race against a field now fully aware of exactly what Jamaica was capable of, and lowered their own brand new world record even further, crossing the line in 39.62 seconds. A world record broken twice in 24 hours by the same 4 people, with Tina Clayton running a leg both times. Not a junior record, not a national record, not a personal best, an outright world record, the kind of mark that gets written permanently into the history of the sport, set, and then immediately beaten again by the very same team, with a 21-year-old who 2 years earlier hadn't even made her own country's Olympic team, running a critical leg of it both times. This is the part that makes Fraser-Pryce's own words from Tokyo so remarkable in hindsight. She said she believed she had passed the baton to a new generation, and she named Tina Clayton specifically months before that world record in Gaborone ever happened. She wasn't simply being polite at her own farewell party. She was pointing, in real time, at exactly the athlete who would go on to help rewrite the record books less than a year later. Tina has never hidden how much that moment meant to her. She has said she is inspired by Fraser-Pryce, and that being able to run the 100 meters final alongside her felt special, that to be able to share the stage with her on the night of her going-away party was always going to be a blessing and an honor. Think about the full arc of that sentence. A kid who once watched her own twin make an Olympic team without her, now lining